Yeah. So 1 minute, let me.
Can you say Kevin will use it?
That's legal.
Miranda rights.
Miranda, right?
What is it?
Miranda rights.
Anything that you say, I forget that.
You're under arrest. Anything you say can be used against it.
Or your personal experience. I'm sorry, I had to do that.
I was told when I was a little kid, because I was so argumentative, people used to be like, you should be a lawyer when you grow up. That was a kind way of getting the message across.
Yeah. So we'll start. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. With the Father, and with the Son, and with the Holy Spirit. Amen. So we are nearing the end of the poem. I don't know that I will finish it today, but otherwise, in the next class, definitely we'll finish. Let's see. I want to finish it in this class, but let's see. So we found in the last class, we are moving towards a solution of all these problems of the wasteland. And the title of part 5 is What the Thunder Said. Actually, the voice of the thunder will be discussed later. But then in this, the whole part, there is the solution. But one thing we found is that, there is a silent presence of someone, the other, along with us all the time. And though there is this thirst, this search is there, but even in this search, even when we are traveling through this dreary, dry land, there is this silent presence, which we found the biblical connection is,
We walked him in.
Yeah, the walk to Emmaus. The walk to Emmaus. So there's this, who is the third? Who is the third? That's the question. There is the third, though we can see only this, but maybe the meaning is that when we start seeing this unseen presence of the divine, there begins the solution. Even in all this confusion, we like to see beyond, the reading beyond. Now, what is, we already read this part. What is that sound high in the air? Murmur of maternal lamentation. Who are those hooded hordes swarming? The maternal lamentation, I already commented, all the wars that Europe or the whole world has been experiencing. So this has been a constant experience. So there's this, the maternal lamentation. Sometimes it is the women who are the greatest sufferers of what is happening around us. So that's the, in one way, the maternal lamentation. But then again, there is that, there is also this murmur, those hooded hordes swarming over the endless plains. Something that I was speaking about was, what is this? Hooded hordes. Hooded hordes.
Is it army?
Army can be.
Yeah, I was thinking like it sounds like the locusts in the plagues and Exodus.
Yeah.
And then even the maternal lamentations is
Yeah.
thinking about, it's very biblical, right? Like in the sound of like the mother's wailing, like it is mentioned so many places.
Yeah.
It's very scriptural.
Yeah. So what is this hooded hordes? One thing I think is these days also they were bringing out these statistics about migration. One immediate consequence of conflict is refugees. And even today, it is not in small numbers, refugees. Like from Ukraine, perhaps, or this African nation, Sudan, then they're all fleeing because two armies are army and this internal fight. But then first, all the international, each country is helping them escape. But then, especially the poor people, they are just, so it is millions, in millions it is. It's actually the hooded hordes swarming over endless plains, tumbling in cracked earth, ringed by flat horizon only. You can only see these people, these migrants, these refugees. It is so extensive, horizon only. What is the city over the mountains? Cracks and reforms and bursts in the violet air. It is constantly changing. So this is the city. Cracks and reforms and bursts in the violet air. Violet air is mentioned again and again. It is the time of reckoning, perhaps evening, when all are returning. So in this violet air, there's the whole cities who cracks and reforms and bursts, falling towers, Jerusalem, Athens, Alexandria, Vienna, London, Hadrian. It is not, first we have been seeing through London, not only London, but the whole, everywhere. It is, destroying, getting destroyed. All the cities. So the wasteland. So what is the wasteland? First we said it's London. No, it's not just London. It is all the cities, all the new civilizations. They are all city on the hilltop that is cracking and reforming and bursting and changing all the while. I'm reading from that footnote. B.C. Stam is this note for lines, these lines. Bertrand Russell Bertrand Russell is a famous English writer, Russell. So he recalled that he had once told Eliot of a nightmare in which he had a vision of London as an unreal city. Its inhabitants like hallucinations, its bridges collapsing, its buildings passing into a mist, all of which, Russell said, Eliot put into the poem. So all this unreal city, everything is cracking, falling, getting destroyed. Of course, very soon all this became a reality.
Yeah, in World War II.
In World War II. Everything stumbled up. We are saying that let not there be a World War III. That's what we're saying. Yeah. So it is all. Continue. A woman drew her long black hair out tight and fiddled whisper music on those strings. Somehow I think women like to play with their hair. No? sometimes. Huh?
Men
If there's nothing else. huh?
men like to play with their mustaches.
I expected a comeback. I did.
You're a great comeback
The
here.
lawyer was not gonna let it go.
The lawyer within her is come back.
It's not Lent anymore, not holding back. No.
So
Yeah, true.
fiddled whisper music on. So a woman drew her long black hair out tight. Oh, that is the frustration, the pain, frustration. So the long black hair and fiddled whisper music on those strings. Whisper music. So all pain, all, and bats with baby faces in the violet light whistled and beat their wings and crawled head downward down a blackened wall and upside down. It's a very, frustrating or upsetting, troubling sight. Bats. Sometimes, all these. When do we have in films bats? Ghost,
Nightmares, yeah.
ghost
Walk into a
film,
cave.
Yeah.
Hero
Ghost-
origin stories.
Here, this one. That no, that's right. I think the middle one, the last one is very good. Yeah. So this is Hieronymus Bosch, a Dutch artist. So what some of these things that he is saying is this Bosch's, this famous artist, some of his paintings, most of his paintings, of course, Christian themes, but then very ominous, very troubling pictures. So Eliot took some of these details inspired by the paintings of this Bosch. Says. Here we don't see whatever he is saying, but at least we can feel that. But, it comes from these paintings. So these bats with baby faces in violet light, again violet light, the evening light, the dusk, whistled and beat their wings and crawled head downward down the blackened wall and upside down in air were towers, tolling reminiscent bells. And from towers, there was this tolling of bells. What is reminiscent bells? Bells of memory. Yeah? Requiem aeternam. Requiem aeternam. Dona eis Domine. Rest, eternal rest, O Lord, grant to them. So when the reminiscent bells is that, remembering people. 1 and 2 for ordinary people, 2 and 3 for priests, 3 and 4 for bishops, and 4 and 5 for Pope, I think. There are these, in Catholic Church, everything is symbolic. Yeah. Everything is
The
symbolic.
bell tolls for the number of years you lived.
Pardon?
The bell also tolls for number of years you lived.
Uh,
So if you lived up to 50, it's going to be 50 bell.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Do they ring?
Yes. I was there in St. Louis Abbey when one of our monks passed away, and he lived up to 97.
Oh,
That was a long bell. So he died in the monastery. So as soon as he dies, the bell goes on.
Oh.
So we hit the bell 97 times that,
Oh, my goodness.
and everybody knows that he died.
You have to beat that record, brother. 98.
I want to shorten it, but is there a shortcut, Lord? You just lived up to 33 and I'm already 37.
But they say that, I don't know, I have written a little article. That article became very famous on For the Whom the Bell Tolls. That was the title of the article.
Mm.
Like every day there is this pattern of ringing of bells in the church. no? It's very interesting, all different bells and
Yes.
so there's much to discuss on bells.
We have an entire chart on it.
Yeah,
in our
yeah,
monastery.
yeah,
You have got to learn. That's one
yeah.
of the novice jobs. We need to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
All
much bell, what
Yeah.
hour, how many bell goes.
Sometimes they say daily there is 33 times these bell is rung. There is 33 years representing but I don't know, maybe I couldn't exactly count it that way. But then, yeah. So anyway, reminiscent bell, we are saying in tolling. So the and the upside down in the air were towers. Everything is upside down now. So in Wasteland, things are upside down. This is not the straight towers. From these upside down towers, tolling reminiscent bells that kept the hours. And voices singing out of empty cisterns and exhausted wells. What is empty cisterns and exhausted wells?
No water.
Yes, definitely.
It's definitely wasteland.
Rex Band song.
What is the reference of?
There's a Rex Band song. The U-turn. Have we been, seeking?
And
But-
they're hiding inside.
Cisterns and
This is Jeremiah.
Just kidding.
Jeremiah 2:13. For my people have committed two evils. My people have committed two evils. One, they have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and carved themselves out cisterns and broken cisterns that can hold no water. The broken cisterns that can hold no water. Lady, we haven't reached there.
She's an Indian. She wants to get to Ganga.
The broken. So this is the empty cisterns.
Oh.
Empty cisterns and exhausted walls, exhausted wells. So the dry wells.
Yeah.
So people are going to singing out of it, but there is, yeah.
Oh.
Empty cisterns and exhausted wells. Is talking about. And what one line is missing, is it?
No, it's from the old PowerPoint, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's one line is missing there. There is the empty chapel, only the winds home. There is a
Yeah, it's there.
it's there. In this decayed hole among the mountains, in the faint moonlight, the grass is singing over the tumbled graves about the chapel. There is the empty chapel. So what is this? What is this suddenly? So in this decayed hole among the mountains, so the journey is continuing. So we are shifting. The journey is continuing. What journey? The wasteland. Journey for what? Yeah, journey looking for, searching for, or the grail quest, or the grail. So also either Tiresias or protagonist or the knight is journeying. So In between, we are also seeing all these dry rocks, empty rocks, and finally these empty cisterns. And in this decayed hole among the mountains, in the faint moonlight, the grass is singing. Earlier also we said the music of the grass, the wind in the grass is singing over the tumbled graves. So there are these graves about the chapel. The chapel. Now, this becomes important. Finally,
It has no windows and the door swings, dry bones can harm
yeah.
them.
So I'm reading, but it's not there. I'm reading from another thing. The chapel perilous in the Grail legend. There is this broken chapel. The chapel perilous, it's called. The chapel perilous in the Grail legend, mysterious and deadly place where the hero knight meets with a strange and terrifying adventure. As I said, in the Grail hunt, in the Grail legend, there are various accounts, or there are different traditions, different stories. The details vary. Sometimes there is a dead body laid on the altar. Sometimes a black hand extinguishes the tapers. There are lights, but sometimes in some stories, a black hand comes and extinguishes all these tapers. There are threatening voices, and throughout, evil and supernatural forces are engaged. In the Percival story, the chapel was built by Queen Brangamore of Cornwall, who was later murdered by her own son, Espinogres, and buried beneath the altar. Many knights are slain there mysteriously, perhaps by the black hand that appears and puts out the light. The enchantment can only be ended if a valiant knight fights the black hand and, taking the veil kept in the chapel, dips it in water that has been sanctified and sprinkles the walls. After being warned, Percival encounters the chapel he recognizes as being that of the black hand. So there is this, when T.S. Eliot is writing these lines, those who know the Percival story, the Grail legend knows that this chapel means this is a chapel perilous, where finally the final challenge comes. The hand appears, and Percival fights and wounds it. Then the head appears, and finally the devil in full form, who seizes the knight as he is about to seek the veil. Percival makes the sign of the cross, and the devil vanishes. And the knight falls unconscious before the altar. On reviving, he takes the veil, dips it in holy water, and sprinkles the walls inside and outside. He sleeps there that night. The next morning, he sees a belfry. He rings the bell. Thereupon, an old man, followed by two others, appears. He tells Percival that he is a priest and he has buried 3,000 knights slain by the Black Hand. Every day, a fresh marble tomb is added to the graveyard. Especially notable in the Percival story are the bell, the walls, the graves, all of which are adapted by Eliot in this passage. So this becomes a very pregnant, very rich part. In the decayed hole among the mountains, in the faint moonlight, the grass is singing over the tumbled graves, about the chapel, There is an empty chapel. There is the empty chapel. Only the wind's home. It has no windows, and the door swings. Dry bones can harm no more. Dead body, dry bone. Dry bones can harm no more. Only a cock stood on the roof tree. It's a nice picture, no? Cock on the roof tree. What do we see?
A windmill?
Pardon?
A windmill?
Sometimes that way, no? Yeah. You've seen Europe. I have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Where's that from?
Windmill?
wind.
Wind vane?
Is it?
Yeah, that's what it is. Wind vane.
Yeah. So you to see the direction of the wind, no? They will have this north, south, this thing, and then according to the wind, this thing, this turns. Cock on.
Weather
Yeah,
vane.
wind vane or weather vane?
Weather
Or
vane, yeah.
weathercock.
Yeah, weathercock. Weathercock sometimes it is said, weathercock. So only a cock stood on roof tree. Cocorico, cocorico. So I think that this is the French way of, because the cock in each country sings in a different way, no?
Of
Huh?
course.
Yeah.
Speaks the language of the land.
Yeah.
For English, how is it?
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. But in India, you know,
They don't.
cocorico.
Ah.
So I think India is very near to French one. The French one. Yeah. But then what is the importance of the cock's cry? Cock's cry.
Importance, it's
It's
morning.
Morning or Jesus has been betrayed.
Yeah, very true.
Dun, dun, dun.
Very true.
It's morning or it's over.
Yeah. One is
It's morning or it's night. Depending on how you look at it.
yeah. One thing is the cock cry. Those who are familiar with literature will immediately remember Hamlet. Huh? In Shakespeare's Hamlet, Horatio says, in the first scene itself, they're waiting for Hamlet to come. Because Hamlet's father Hamlet has been walking the walls. Horatio, Hamlet's close friend, is brought by these two sentinels on top. That's this is how it begins. Somehow a ghost is coming. And then they say that, yesterday also a few days the ghost has been visiting. And then Horatio says that, when the cock cries, there's a cock crow, then it has to go back. The ghost has to go back to hell or netherworld at that time. It was only up to that time. The signaling of the cock. So Horatio says that the cry signals departure of evil spirits. The cock, that is the trumpet to the morn, doth his lofty, shrill, sounding throat. This is the words from Hamlet. Awake the god of day, and at his warning, whether in sea or fire, in earth or air, the extravagant and erring spirit hies to confine. It runs away. So that's the Hamlet's this thing. And in Hamlet, they are also saying this is what happens in Christ's life. And again, we have this when we have Easter celebration, Christmas celebration also, we remember this rooster, Saint Peter's story, where Peter,
Poor guy.
poor guy,
Exposed.
it's a very, very
All
pathetic
his
scene.
friends exposed him.
Yeah. He was so confident that whatever happened, but before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. Very, very pathetic. Then. And again, in Shakespeare's Shakespeare's Tempest, Ariel leads Ferdinand. We heard so many times Ariel's song in this day, and just before lyric stanza that includes the line, those are the pearls were his eyes. The Ariel first sings. Those are pearls we have heard it so many times. But before that, the Ariel sings, hark, hark, I hear the strain of stuttering chanticleer, cry, cock-a-doodle-doo. So there's a cockscrow again. So suddenly on top of the chapel, there is this rooster and it cries. And in a flash of lightning, then a damp gust. So there's a big reference from Joseph Conrad again. You remember I mentioned Conrad?
Yeah.
You remember the novel?
Heart of Darkness.
Yeah, Heart of Darkness, yes. You were mentioning Conrad's, Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness about Africa. In one of his other, Conrad is a very interesting, some of his novels are very interesting. Another one is an outcast of the islands. This is the heavy air around him was perceived, and there's that description. That ends with, again, this a light frown ran over the river. The clouds stirred slowly, changing their aspect, but not their place. So sometimes these falling rain, the damp feel of the falling rain, he describes. So this description, this immediately resounds in a flash of lightning, the damp gust. You know, before how in Florida we are familiar with how the rain comes. A lightning, then a cold wind bringing rain. That is refreshing. Where? In the wasteland. Finally, with the chapel entry and the cocorico, and as he reaches the chapel, until this time it was so thirsty.
Yeah.
There was no water. Now there is a damp gust bringing rain. Ganga was sunken. So Ganga. So now he turns to the east.
Yeah. So as it rains, it becomes east. Everything is good now.
Ganga, the sacred Indian river Ganga. So the Hindu faith is that bathing in it brings renewal to the person. So that's why, or if you should die, you should go to Kashi. Three names, no? Kashi? Not Ganga. What I'm saying.
Is it Varanasi?
Varanasi? Then one more name is there, no?
Is it the other one will be a pilgrimage in Himalaya?
No. What I'm saying is Kashi has got also three names.
Oh, okay.
One is Varanasi, Kashi, and yeah, we have gone there. But everyone goes to die there. No? That's the holy place. Kashi is the holy place, and that's why
You have to your body has to be taken, or you have to die there. What's the
you die, and you have to. And that's why there are a lot of cremation places there. No?
Yeah.
And they
It's
say
not
that-
enough to take the dead body. You have to go there alive and die.
I know. Or you have to take the ashes.
Ashes,
And
Suicide.
And I was like,
Because
it's so like that. It's like, Lord,
there you
a lot of
see a lot of old people. plenty of old
God's
people.
waiting for us to call.
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
And it's a big business there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uploading.
Yeah, they just half burn it and push it, they say.
Yeah.
Because it's all business, no?
Can you smell it when you go?
I think, but nowadays they are, so the cleaning Ganga has been a big.
Couldn't see any, നമ്മളന്ന്
We
പോയപ്പോ ഒന്നും
we
കണ്ടില്ല.
didn't see any burning that time. We went there. We went for a seminar. Yeah. Okay.
What
So
was the third one?
yeah, before I say, I'll remember. Yeah. Kashi and yeah. So Ganga is sunken. So So now, yeah.
Benares.
Yeah, Benares.
Ah,
That's
there
it.
you go.
Yeah,
Banaras,
true.
yes.
That's enough.
I know.
That's enough.
Good job.
Benares, at least remember that.
Yeah.
Benares,
Kashi.
Kashi, and
Varanasi.
Varanasi.
Mm.
Yeah. So Ganga was sunken. The limb leaves waited for rain. The limp leaves. Earlier we saw those leaves, limp leaves going down in London, Thames.
Thames,
Yeah. So waited for rain. While the black clouds gathered far distant over Himavant. Again, the next east. Himavant. Himavant, Himalaya, but Himavant, I think, is one of the more sacred mountains in the Himalayas. That snowy mountain, Himavant. So, of course, generally Himalayas, of course, that's the abode of gods. Himalaya is the abode of gods, but one of the more holy places, Himavant. But I think sometimes when you say Himavant, you think of Himalayas also. But they say that it's one of the special places over Himalayas. So, Himavant. The jungle crouched, humped in silence. What is crouching?
Like a crouching tiger.
Yeah, before it jumps, no? So the jungle crouched as if something big is going to happen. The jungle crouched because already the clouds are gathering, and the big rain is coming. We know how the transforming, the ominous yet promising, hopeful. The big rain is coming, and you know how it gets ready, all gathering. Then comes the thunder. No? Then spoke the thunder. Now this is I've written here. I think we'll read from the notes here itself. Actually, the part was entitled "What the Thunder Said." So here it said what the thunder said. We'll read it and then come back to one. So this is from the voice thunders from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There are a number of Upanishads. Actually, Upanishads are very important. Sometimes when we think of Hinduism, we think their holy books are Ramayana and Mahabharata. But they are only stories that recapture the great wisdom. They are not the greatest sacred books. Rather, Vedas and Upanishads are the real source of their sacred wisdom. These days, someone passed away. There was big discussion again on that. Who's that? Or Hector's father-in-law. Hector Rani, no?
Was he a convert?
Yeah.
Who knew all of this?
Yes.
Okay.
He was Hector's wife Rani's father is what's his name? Aravindaksha Menon.
Okay.
Aravindaksha Menon. So he was famous. He used to speak about how these Upanishads spoke of
Christ.
Yeah, this one who is coming, the promised one. So all the signs that these Upanishads spoke about, this promised one is fulfilled in Christ. That's how, for at least his preaching was that when he used to study these Brahmanical texts, these Sanskrit texts, he used to read about all this But when in a frustration and all that, he came and then he started reading the word of God in the Bible. Then he realized that whatever is said in this Sanskrit writings are clearly there, fulfilled in Christ. So for him, it was a big, and his preachings were, his talks were very, very famous that way. Hare Lakshmana, that way. So these Upanishads. Now, here there's one little snapshot from this Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, section 5, part 2 is this. Prajapati. Prajapati is the great god, Prajapati, or the great king god. Prajapati has got 3 offsprings, 3 children. Who are they? They are Devas, humans, and Asuras. I think when the English, when they translate, we don't get that feeling. Gods, but we say the Deva. Then humans, okay. But this is not devil, but Asura. Asura is, yeah.
It's almost like Lord of the Rings, like orcs and stuff.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
not quite devil, but it's like
Yeah.
a creature that's
Yeah.
like a half animal, half evil looking kind of
Yes,
thing. Yeah.
that's why when they translate in English, you don't get that exactly. But in English, they say devils. But it's perhaps the wrong translation. But then that's Asura. Perhaps when you say Asura, it's a god with small letter we can tolerate still. In gods, perhaps we can tolerate. But then devils, we will find it misleading a little. So anyway, gods.
They're like beasts.
Yeah, beasts. Yeah, that way. So gods, men and devils, or Asura. Yeah, I wrote Asura for this thing. So they dwelt with their father Prajapati as students of sacred knowledge or Brahma Karya. So they were living.
And they were siblings.
Yeah, they were siblings. That's the story. They were siblings. And then and they're learning with their father Prajapati. That's it. And then, having lived the life of a student of sacred knowledge, the gods said, finally, the gods, these devas came and asked the Prajapati, speak to us, sir. So they want to get the final instruction, the graduation day. So they wanted to get the final instruction. So they said, speak to us, Lord. To them, he spoke this syllable, Da, the thunder. So then the thunder said, Da. This is a thunder. So God spoke in a thunder, Da. Did you understand? Then God said, we did understand, they said. You said to us, Damyata. Rest, self-control, Damyata. Yes, oh, you did understand. So, Prajapati said, Da, the thunderbolt, Da. And Devas understood it as self-control. So, that is the meaning of thunder, self-control. So for salvation, for fullness, Devas, what they need is self-control. So then the men said to him, then came human beings. They said, speak to us, sir, to Prajapati. To them also he spoke the syllable Da. Then thunder spoke again. The next thunderbolt. Did you understand? We did understand, said he. You said to us, Datta. That means generosity. Give, generosity. So that's what's needed. Da. Share. Give. That is. Oh, said he, yes. You did understand, that's right. The human beings understood this thunder, the voice of the thunder as generosity. Datta. Datta, give, share. So then the devil said to him, then came Asuras. Speak to us, sir. To them he spoke this syllable, da. Again the thunder said, da, da. Did you understand? We did understand, said they. You said to us, Dayatvam, Dayatvam, be compassionate. There. Oh, yes, said he, you did understand. So, God said only, the thunder said only, da, 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 da. So, the same thing does the divine voice here, or the thunder repeat, da, da, da. This is restrain yourself, give, be compassionate. So one should practice this same triad. Self-restraint, generosity, and compassion.
Almost like the Lenten things.
Yeah.
For almsgiving and fasting.
Yeah.
The funny part is those are the three things those three natures will not do.
Yeah. That's what they want. Yeah.
There's
The
no
gods
self-
are always jumping,
Yeah, they do not have any
They have no
self-
self-control, no gods.
Men would not give.
Yeah. Men
And
are
the
so
Asuras are not compassionate at all.
Asuras cannot have compassion. So.
Women on the other hand.
Oh.
Tell us more. Tell us more. Tell us more.
I had
Tell us
to.
more. Tell us more. So you're putting woman in Asuras category.
Don't say devil, only Asura.
Like, I totally understand what Asura is. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
If you watch Lord of the Rings and stuff, it's actually amazing. Like some of these things that's closer to the Eastern kind of, And even just like psychologically and stuff in one sense, that they talk about how Western theology versus Eastern theology, there's some goodness and understanding. Oh, they're all siblings, or even like William Shakespeare thing in the veins of men run the blood of angels and beasts, and it's up to us which ones we give rain and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot there.
Then spoke the thunder. So this is the background. So that's what we're going to say now. Actually, we are coming to the close of the thing. The message of the thunder. So the rain is coming, the thunder is clashing, and what the thunder telling the wasteland or the modern world is da. That's the thunder.
Just one da.
Then spoke the thunder, da. Datta.
To give.
So datta. Yeah. So my friend, blood shaking my heart, the awful daring of a moment's surrender, which an age of prudence can never retract. By this, and this only we have existed, which is not to be found in our obituaries. So, Datta, what have we given? Suddenly, maybe the narrator, Tiresias, is asking us, have we given anything actually? What is our generosity? What have we given? My friend, blood shaking my heart, actually, extricating from inside, blood shaking our heart, the awful daring of a moment's surrender. So it's actually, suddenly giving is a surrender, a moment's surrender. Suddenly we are giving ourselves. The awful daring, it requires courage to give.
Mm.
It takes courage to answer a call. It takes courage to give your all. So, my friend, blood shaking my heart, the awful daring of a moment's surrender, which an age of prudence can never retract. When we see someone in need, we want to give. But then we tell ourselves, no, never, don't. Calculate what you have in bank. Or maybe that is now. So many messages of prudence. We are trained not to give. We are trained to retract, to pull our hands back. Actually, from inside us, there is a rush to give. So, which an age of prudence can never retract. By this, and this only we have existed. Actually, our existence is in giving. All creation, all birth has happened because somebody has given. Only because somebody gave. By this, and this only we have existed, which is not to be found in our obituaries. What is obituary? Sometimes when the person is dead, he will write wonderful things about the person. But one has to die. Or in the memories draped in the beneficial, the memories draped by the beneficent spider. This is actually from Webster's White Devil, a famous drama by Webster. This is Eliot is writing, you know, this is from Webster's White Devil. This is, they remarry, the worm pierce your winding sheet, the spider make a thin curtain for your epitaphs. So there's a resounding of these words. But anyway, sometimes memories draped by beneficent spider, or under the seals broken by the lean solicitor in our empty rooms. What is this? Or the lean, this picture, when the person is dead. In many families, the fight starts then. So there are, I often say that there are phases of fights in families. Of course, when children are very small, of course, there are bickerings. But when they grow up, jealousies and they start fight. But then they reconcile. Then they grow up, they reconcile. But then they marry. Then they're, concept them and the new fight starts. All confusions, come out. Unusual confusions come out. All these things. Then finally, after some time, they subside. Then the father's death and the will, opening of the will. The lawyer comes. Usually only a father's death, only the will. There's a custom in the family, the father died, everything's over, then the will is open. Then starts the next big fight. So or under the seals broken by the lean solicitor in our empty rooms. So giving in a will is not the giving. Or perhaps you are so generous with your epitaphs. That's not giving. The giving is when you are living, when you are inspired, when you really want to be generous. Give. Give now. When you have blood running in you, give. We all give, we have to give after our death. We cannot take it away. But then we won't give now. Nobody will give.
Mm.
So it is by this giving only the world will continue to grow. Now, Dayatvam. The next da. Mercy, kindness. I have heard the key. Turn in the door once and turn once only. Yeah. What is kindness? We turn it once, maybe because of an experience, but then we decide to turn back and open it again. Opening that lock, that's forgiveness. There's a famous picture behind this. It is from there's a this thing from Inferno is there, but I think here I mentioned also, yeah, Inferno, and I heard the underneath locked up the horrible tower. And then there is this, Coriolanus is coming later.
Is there any image in Inferno where the hell is locked from inside? I'm just wondering.
There is Eliot refers to this quotation in Inferno, in particular to the words of Ugolino della the 13th century Italian noble, as he recalls his own imprisonment in a tower with his 2 sons and 2 grandsons, where they starved to death. And below I heard the door of the horrible tower being locked up. The reason Ugolino heard the key turn once and turn once only was that the jailers threw the key into the river and the prisoners were left to starve to death outside. They were locked and then they threw away the key. In Coriolanus also, I think, there is the Shakespeare's drama. So, although Dante does not mention this fact, Eliot would have found it in the footnote to his edition of Dante. Ugolino is frozen in the same hole as Archbishop Ruggieri, the man who betrayed him, and is condemned to gnaw and chew on the part of his enemy's head where the brain meets the nape of the neck. The two share the same hole because both are traitors. So he meets both of them in hell.
I love that saying, I'll see you in hell. It's so intense. We're all going
Then again, there is this broken Coriolanus, no? Dayatvam. So we think of key. Each in his prison thinking of the key. Like you are in your prison, I am in my prison. Both of us are thinking of the key, but we will not open the key. It has turned once. Mercy is either any of us can open or both of us can turn it back, but we don't turn it back. So in the core of mercy is forgiveness. Going back, tracing back, taking a step. Each confirms a prison only at nightfall. Ethereal rumors revive for a moment a broken Coriolanus. Again, Coriolanus refers to Roman general Gnaeus Marcius, called Coriolanus, banished from Rome 491 BC, or to the lead character in the play Coriolanus by William Shakespeare, where the general has been renamed Caius Marcius. So in the Coriolanus also there is this, he would lock people and then they throw the key into the river, because even sometimes the problem is that you may feel a little mercy, so you may open something. So if you throw away the key, then there's no problem. Because some moment you become sympathetic. So,
Sure.
so there's locking for the key. Shakespeare's so dayato. So finally, damyata. That is self-control. Finally, our coming back to God, holiness, all this is, what is it? The boat responded gaily to the hand expert with sail and oar. The sea was calm. Your heart would have responded gaily when invited, beating obedient to the controlling hands. So, damyata, self-control. So, what is self-control? Self-control is your spirit, your mind, and your body having the same rhythm. Or your body responding to the beat of the spirit. What is sin? Yeah, this discrepancy. Or your hand and the boat. So the boat responded gaily to the hand expert with sail and oar. In a way, spirituality is an expert handling of this boat. Well controlled. Sail and oar, the wind, boat in the wind. The sea was calm. Your heart would have responded gaily when invited, beating together to controlling hands. I think we cannot keep for the next day. 10 more minutes and we'll finish. Okay, that's better now. So, in one way, this is the solution, the three, what the thunder said.
Da, da, da.
Da, da, da. So whenever the thunder clashes and beats or roars, God is telling you, God is telling the world, Datta, Dayatvam, Damyata. Datta, Dayatvam, Damyata. Again and again, God is saying, I sat upon the shore, fishing, the arid plain behind me. Shall I at least set my lands in order? As I sat upon the shore, could be. Yeah, who is the speaker? Who is the I?
Fish King Tiresias.
Yeah, one thing, Fisher King. Jesse Weston's Fisher King. Again, it is Tiresias. Again, the strongly. So all these other, beautiful memories or resonances come back. So the king, of course, the Fisher King. He's saying that in the chapter, the Fisher King discusses the fish as a universal life symbol, one of some antiquity. The fisher, as the royal title, is thus associated with life creating and preserving deities. In very early Christianity, the word ichthys, famous, no? Ichthys, meaning is fish. But then it was an acronym for Jesus Christ, King of the Jews. And they used to have that fish symbol, no? You've seen it, no? That fish symbol. They used to, I think there's Neocats use that symbol also.
Early
No?
church.
Yeah. So I think the churches, everywhere is the same. So Christ's apostles are given the name fishers of men. And the fisherman has a papal ring. Okay. All right, all that. Buddha is named the fisherman who draws fish from the ocean of samsara to the light of salvation.
Mm.
So the fish is symbolic of Christ, of church, of Buddha. So this, and also the great legends, the Jesse, all this becomes important in the fishing. I sat upon the shore fishing with the airplane behind me. So now, yeah, wasteland is behind him.
Mm.
Shall I at least set my lands in order? In one way, the salvation has to begin by starting our land in order. Compare the words of prophet Isaiah to King Hezekiah, a sick man whose kingdom lies waste under Assyrian conquest. Thus, this is from Isaiah 38:1. Thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Of course, but he doesn't die later. No? No. So Hezekiah prays for mercy of God, and God answers him, promising to deliver his country from Assyrians and granting him a further 15 years of life.
Mm.
Also, he mentions Dante's Purgatorio also, in which there is a prayer of the poet Jacqueponte Todi. Ordina, set my love in order, O thou who lovest me. Set my love in order. Set my life in order. Set my love in order. So, shall I at least set my lands in order? So we have to begin the redemption of the world by setting our land in order. Maybe my life in order, perhaps. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. So nursery rhyme gives the Oxford London Bridge falling down.
Mm.
Build it up with wood and clay, isn't it? No? Yeah, all that. No? So he sing then.
Is that French after it?
Yes.
French and
It is from Purgatorio, the Percival's thing. It's given. Yeah. When shall I become like swallow? And then he held himself in the fire that purifies them. So from the purifying fire, it is mentioned. Oh, swallow, swallow. You remember the swallow? It is still, the swallow is being hunted.
Mm.
Our what chick chick chick,
Mhm.
chuck chuck. There's
The king
yeah.
who was fed by his son.
Yeah, that raping the sister-in-law.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Philomel story.
Yeah.
Philomel story. Forgot. You have to go
might
back.
have missed that day.
Philomel story.
Yeah.
The girl Philomel, and she becomes a swallow, and still she's being hunted by the eagle. It is going on. How she was raped and her tongue was pulled out by brother-in-law, and then both sisters cook the son and feed him. You are not there on that day. Such gory.
The
stories.
darkness of the wasteland. We have seen the depth.
His voice, sir.
Yeah. La Prince Quetan of Torah Abord. So from Virgil's Venus. When shall I become like the swallow? These fragments I have showed against my ruins. In one way, we also said, no, T.S. Eliot, this becomes fragments, these pieces against my ruins. Why then, ille fit you? Hieronymo is mad again. Why then I'll, that's old English, fit, supply you with what you need. This is spoken by Hieronymo in Thomas Kyd's Elizabethan revenge tragedy, the Spanish tragedy. So this is a Spanish tragedy, supposed to be like a kid was before Shakespeare, even before Shakespeare, it's from them. Hieronymo, a son, Horatio is murdered by the brother and would-be lover of the woman with whom he was carrying on an illicit love affair. Like Hamlet, Hieronymo suffers in his grief from moments of seeming insanity. So Hieronymo, like Hamlet is mad again, Hieronymo is mad again. So world goes into madness again and again. Hieronymo is mad again. Datta,
Give,
Dayatvam,
compassion,
Damyata,
self-restraint,
Shanti, Shanti,
Shanti,
Shanti.
harmony, peace.
So, in a way, this is the Philippians 4:7, peace that passes understanding. So we can have this peace that passes understanding, or Shanti. We Indians understand it much better, Shanti. Shanti can come
Like
only
shalom.
by,
It's
shalom.
like a very
Shalom,
rich.
yeah. Only by these virtues of Datta, Dayatvam, and Damyata, forgiveness, generosity, and love. Yeah.
Thank you. That was good. But it's Philippians 4:7, huh?
We do not have anything to give you
I
in
know.
Guru Dakshina.
Anything, Siju?
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Shanti, Shanti.
That's what we
Yeah.
all want.
I was thinking, it also kind of reminds me, of course, in a much richer, this is much richer, but there's this movie called, it's from a book, it's called Into the Wild, about a man who was like in search of
John
meaning.
Krakauer.
No,
Into the
I
Wild.
forget, yeah, and he like
Yeah.
went into like Alaska or something, he
Yeah.
wanted to, kind of like a Thoreau type experiment, but
Yeah.
like on steroids, and like went and like lived in the wild for a long time, like he had like, yeah, many things he was trying to resolve, and then finally ended up dying, and someone like found his books
Yeah.
and all that, and then he couldn't, by the time he decided he wanted to come back, it was like the water had melted and stuff, and then apparently in his books and stuff, one of the last things he had written was happiness is only real when shared,
Yeah.
you know, and so yeah, just like so many pieces and
Yeah.
stuff are very much like.
I like the timing of when we end this after this retreat which we had. So I think that's kind of going into the core of your being. That was one of thing which was there in yesterday's retreat. Is we always end up in this disharmony at some point, where there is a disharmony in spirit, mind, and body. It's somewhere there. You know, sometimes our spirit and mind are together, but body is not helping. Sometimes the body and mind is there, but we are not in line with the spirit. So it's kind of, that is to be able to see that. And it's kind of, you know, navigating that boat, which you're saying. You know, as soon as you stop rowing it, you know, the body stop doing things. The boat is going in different direction. Then you got to immediately start rowing. So there is, the harmony has to continue.
My mom.
Okay.
called for over,
Oh.
I think I'm in trouble.
Um,
So I like that. So
Yeah.
I think that kind of gives something to munch on and think about.
So in one only too many references, but then finally, with the chapel, maybe reaching here, we are not told that the chalice is found or the grail is found, but in one way the grail is found.
Yeah, this is the great.
Yeah, it's a grail. So
Yeah.
grail is found, and
Used
God's word is God speaks, and the peace reigns. God has spoken.
Yeah.
The thunder has spoken.
Yeah.
And it brings in rain, and peace, and quietness,
Yeah.
and Shanti.
Yeah. I get a kick out of it, how it started in the west and ends in the
You
east.
see?
Yeah.
That they especially say. T.S. Eliot really was fascinated by the wisdom of the East. She says the merging of the wisdom of the West and East will only bring salvation to the whole world. Saying. So many others also thought that way. Like we have to rediscover, perhaps in the light of the West, in the light of Christ, East has to be rediscovered.
Or discovered,
Pardon?
or discovered even one might say.
Discovered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Even the Philippians 4:7 becomes very powerful. In this, in this, it's Philippians 4:7 itself is already illuminating, but it just becomes brighter when you look on the light of this Upanishad that we are seeing, in this light of Data, Dayatvam and Damyata. So kind of the harmony becomes even more powerful to be able to see that, we have something which is beyond understanding. Because understanding remains in kind of one faculty of the soul. But when all comes together, we cannot comprehend it.
So even discernment, like when one of the religious sisters, she was like a spiritual mother, and she said, like, when you go to the right place, like, you won't have to tell your mind or ask God, because you will know in your body that you have come home. So, and the other piece I was also thinking was even incarnationally, like if you talk to some of the grief groups, what finally brings people out of grief of loss is when they start giving, without understanding, just start giving and reaching out. That's when many people find their way out of grief, or addictions, self-control finally has to be the answer. And then kindness, like even Unbound and all that, there's so much around forgiveness without what you were saying, kindness, forgiveness, giving. Those are kind of the age-old, tried and tested answers to grief and addiction and misery.
Okay, that was a long class. Faithful. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you already said Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Shanti.
He is in peace. He is in peace.
So he was fully in peace.
No, I am not in peace. I am in search of peace.
That is a true Indian spirit. That's a true Indian spirit. Constantly, all the time, searching.
Not a destination.
Yeah.
Also reminds me of that Teze song, De Noche Iremos. By night we hasten in darkness to search for
Only my thirst to you know that, no? Yeah. I search in darkness, search for the living waters, but only my thirst to guide me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Only my
Only
thirst to
thirst
guide me. Sometimes only your thirst tells you which way to go. There is no external cues.
Do we stop recording?